Hi, I'm Felicia,
And I'm Giancarlo.
and this is our review of
Boss Monster. In Boss Monster, players play as an 8-bit dungeon lord luring heroes to their doom to get their souls. In the box you'll find 9 unique boss cards, 75 room cards to build your dungeon with, 25 hero cards and 16 epic hero cards, and 30 spell cards to help you defeat those heroes and other players. Be the first monster to collect 10 souls from the hero's demise, and you'll be the undisputed boss monster.
Here's how to set up. Before anything, determine the number of players you are. Take out any hero cards that have more player icons than the number of players. These will not be used. Take the boss cards and shuffle them. Deal one out to each player, which they'll reveal. Shuffle the hero cards to form a deck and do the same for the epic hero cards, placing it next to each other. Take the room cards, shuffle it, and deal 5 to each player. Place the remaining cards face down to form the room deck. Do the same with spell card, but only deal out 2 to each player. Now each player must discard 2 cards. Before the game begins, each player can build a non-advanced room, the one with the silver colored icon, by placing to the left of their monster card. You're now ready to lure and kill some heroes.
Each turn has a sequence of play: begin turn, build phase, bait phase, adventure phase, and lastly, end of turn phase. Begin phase is where the heroes come to town. Reveal from the top of the hero's deck a number of heroes equal to the number of players. Eventually, you'll run out of these heroes and you'll reveal from the epic heroes deck instead. Once that's done, each player will draw a room card. We now move on to the build phase. Here, players can build one more non-advanced room to the left or on top of another room, or build an advanced room. To build an advanced room, the ones with the gold-colored icon, you must be able to place it on top of another room which shares at least one treasure type. Also note that the maximum rooms a dungeon can have is 5. I mean, come on folks, this is an 8-bit generation, not a lot of bytes in this system. If ever your dungeon is complete by placing the 5th room, your monster levels up and does his ability, which will only trigger once per game. Rooms are placed first by the monster with a higher XP value. Here, spell cards with the hammer icon can be played by any player, such as Cobalt Strike, to prevent rooms from being built this turn. Once all this is done, we enter the bait phase.
The bait phase is where you lure those moronic heroes. For each hero in town, starting with the first, compare the amount of treasure in each player's dungeon that corresponds to it. The player with the most will attract that hero. Take that hero and lure him to the entrance of your dungeon, which will be to the left of your room. If there's a tie, the hero, being moronic, can't decide where to go and therefore stays in town. Once every hero in the town has been checked, we move to the adventuring phase.
Here, those pesky heroes will try and run your dungeon to wound you and escape with some treasure. Let's see how well you set your monster and trap rooms. Starting with the first hero to arrive, he'll enter that player's dungeon. As the hero enters, he'll take damage listed in the heart icon on the room card to his health, which is the heart icon on the hero's card. If the hero still survives, he'll enter the next room, and so forth. If the hero takes cumulative damage from the rooms that equal or is higher than his HP, you've successfully killed him. Flip the card over and place it next to your monster. You now have collected a soul. If, however, the hero went through all your dungeon rooms and survived, he'll now wound you. Take the card and place it next to or under your monster card face up. The blood drop will show you how many wounds he's done. Don't take too many, because if you ever have 5 or more wounds, you're dead and eliminated from the game. Players also have the opportunity to play any spell with the axe icon. Lastly, we go to the end of turn phase. This simply is a cleanup step and end any until end of turn abilities. We now begin a new turn until only one remaining boss monster remains, or the first one to claim a total of 10 souls.
Tools of Hero Kind expansion offers equipment to the heroes to help them navigate through the dungeons. When the heroes are revealed in town, reveal the top card of the item deck and attach it to the first available hero with matching icons. Simply slide the card under it, revealing the hero text underneath it. Now this hero will have a special ability which will make him tougher to kill. The good news is, should you lure him and kill him, you'll now have some monster bling. Take the item and place it face up in your treasure room. You'll now be able to use it by simply following the text in the monster icon box and turning it face down. The bad news? Your treasure room is only big enough for one treasure. We weren't kidding when we said space is not readily available in an 8-bit world. If you ever have 2 items face up in your treasure room, you need to turn one face down. But don't despair, as some of the spells in the expansion might make it available to you again.
First thing that popped to mind when seeing this game is the marketing genius that went behind it. The artwork is all 8-bit style, and even better was how they made the box look like an old Nintendo cartridge and the expansion like a Game Boy one. We were really glad the genius didn't end there. The gameplay is solid, fun, silly, and win or lose you'll have a great time playing it. Yes, it's heavily based on luck in the sense of card draws, and some cards are just overpowered compared to others, such as the All-Seeing Eye, which we think should have had less damage output considering how powerful the ability is. But there is certain tactical moves you can make, mainly based on what spells you play and what rooms you build for the purpose of baiting and possibly stalling a hero from going over to the leading player's dungeon. Gamers might find the response to spells being played a little unclear in the sense of this player plays X spell, can I respond with this Y spell? And it seems like the only spell you can respond to another one would be Counterspell. But again, it's a way more casual game than, say, Magic the Gathering. And why did I mention Magic the Gathering? Because the other thing Boss Monster does well is allude to not only video games, but other geek games and cultures as well. From Johnny of the Evening Watch for Game of Thrones to Jace the Planeswalker in Magic the Gathering. It's a pleasure to play, look at, and the good card stock quality is another bonus. Great for a filler game and best played at 3 to 4 players with the expansion, we give Boss Monsters 8.5 out of 10. Like a boss.